It's Friday night in the A, and you know what that means. Kelly Price and Tori McElhaney coming at you on Rise Up Tonight, presented by AT&T.
Whew, what a week. I know the Falcons' message last week was to get off the roller coaster ride, but Tori, I still feel like I'm on a tilt-a-whirl all week this week.
To be completely honest, I think I'm still recovering from it mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things.
It's been a lot. Well, it's a wonky and wild one in Tampa, but at least it's a win, right?
It's a win.
Let's huddle up about it, y'all.
Let's huddle up with Kelly and Tori on the world of Falcons football.
So let's just start with how significant this win is, because yes, it's October, but this puts the Falcons on top of the NFC South. It also puts them back in the winning column. And it is also their first road dub in over a year, not to mention their first divisional road win since 2021. So Tori, when you think about all those things, yeah, it may have been ugly, but this is a pretty big win that they can build on going into Nashville.
Yeah, man, didn't they need this one, right? For all the reasons you said, but also going back to the whole idea that this team hasn't won on the road since week 3 of last season. And that's a lot of sad plane rides back to Atlanta. I said last week that the game in Tampa was going to be the Falcons' biggest game yet, and I stand by that. The fact that they escaped Tampa with a win may mean a lot down the road because we all know how this division works. And that right there, I think that was a confidence builder.
That's a good point. And speaking of confidence building, last week the Falcons defense talked about how the next step they really wanted to take on that side of the ball was to create takeaways. And coming in, the Bucs turnover margin was an impressive +6 on the season. The defense did their part on this one with a fumble recovery and a key pick. We talk a ton, rightly so, about this unit playing especially well in clutch, critical situations. And here, they're just leveling up again, Tori.
Yeah, no, let's take it a step further, too. After week 1, this defense wanted to be better in their run defense. They've only allowed one singular rushing touchdown this year. 3 weeks ago, they said they wanted more sacks. Against the Commanders, they racked up 5. Last week, they said they needed more turnovers. And would you look at that? There's 2 versus the Bucs. Every single time this defense says they want to do something or improve in some matrix, they do, and I think there's something to be said about that.
Some serious manifestation powers on that defense. Meanwhile, the other side of the Falcons' turnover margin, not great. Desmond Ridder became the first player in the last 45 seasons to lose 3 red zone fumbles in a single game. So for folks keeping track at home, that is 6 turnovers for Ridder now in the last 2 games. Tori, what have Ridder and Arthur Smith been saying this week about how they're planning to clean that up going forward?
Yeah, so they haven't really skirted around this topic. Arthur Smith said, yeah, you can't overlook the turnovers and they will be addressed. Desmond Ridder said, yep, it's no secret. I got to take better care of the ball. He was working some ball drills actually in the open media period of practice this week, but it's not all doom and gloom and flowery branch. The Falcons' pass game is actually heating up. They're moving the ball at a solid clip, and yet Desmond Ridder, yes, still has 6 turnovers in 2 games to his name. But that right there, the good with the not so good, that's the dichotomy of a young quarterback. So the solace that you can take in this is that the mistakes Ridder does make are not often happening twice, but you got to keep that possession though.
It was a perfect Florida fall day for football on Sunday, and the Falcons dressed to impress. We are walking in, presented by Wells Fargo. Let's start with walking in Hall of Famer Kaderil Hodge. His shirt giving a little bit of Twister vibes, but in the most fun way. The primary colors really bright, really cheerful here. It's just an excellent composition. No notes.
Honestly, I'm so glad to see our Falcons Fits King back on our screens again. Also, I hope that, I don't know if y'all can see, but he had his handy dandy pack of Lifesavers in hand when we got to the stadium because this man does love him some gummy snacks.
Major key for the road trip is the snacks. And poor Bijan Robinson not feeling himself on Sunday. He was battling a monster migraine, but you know, walking in, he was trying to manifest a happy face. Literally, I love this shirt, not only because is it a little classic happy face, the emoji here has the signature Bijan hairstyle. As they say in Texas, the higher the hair, the closer to God. And I am normally not a fan of cargo pants, but I really love these, especially for the comfy vibes on a sick day.
Also, can we just say that this is a very Gen Z fit of him?
This is true.
And I don't think I've ever loved something as much as the fact that the smiley face on his shirt has his own hair on it. That's just downright cute.
I love it. All right, let's finish with what the Falcons Twitter accurately described as Mac Sparrow. We have Jack Sparrow and Mac Hollins here in Buccaneers territory. I really don't know if Mac Hollins was really going for the pirate vibes here, but I am all the way for it, especially we're right around the corner of Halloween here.
Captain Mac Sparrow. I know we've had Mac on this segment a few times, but this one is just too on theme. It's too perfect.
I'd like to think he did this on purpose. All right, and speaking of Halloween, we asked the Dirty Birds this week, what is their favorite Halloween Halloween candy in our question of the week.
What is favorite Halloween candy?
I like gummies. Some Lifesaver gummies. I mean, I can eat like 3 or 4 packs a day.
Anything gummy and sour, like a palate of an 8-year-old. That's basically what I got.
Candy corn. Yeah.
That's kind of a controversial one.
Yeah, people don't like it, but I love it. Definitely tag. Definitely need my Swedish Fish, baby. Best candy in the world.
Nah, not the hard, the soft one, the Lifesaver, the soft one. Those my goods.
I mean, I don't know if the colors have different flavors, but I eat them by the color.
That's a bit of a controversial take. No love for like Reese's or like chocolate? There's a lot of fruity candies in there.
None, absolutely none. I personally am also a sour gummy worm type of person, so I also have the palate of an 8-year-old.
Give me Reese's all day. All right, still to come, don't miss our interview with rapper Caleb Colossus as we talk about his new single, the music scene in the A, and the massive impact of the Dirty Birds on a football-loving kid growing up in Stone Mountain.
Also, the Falcons are the only NFL team to dedicate a single day during the regular season for the entire roster to go make a difference in the community. And they did just that across 8 locations in the metro area this week. That story is coming up next on Rise Up Tonight.
Rise Up Tonight is presented by AT&T and brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Today could be the day. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And Truist, when you start with care, you get a different kind of bang. It's time to Rise Up Atlanta. Kelly and Tori are back on your home for Falcons football. Fox 5 Atlanta.
This week, the Falcons spent their off day in the community for the annual hometown huddle. And 2 of Atlanta's defensive stars decided to party, kind of. Luke Hetrick explains as we rise up for Atlanta, brought to you by Truist.
Play fake to White, throw far side, intercepted Richie Grant.
Sunday, he is ballin'.
I can't get the strike no more.
Tuesday,
Throw it big.
Richie Grant's bold.
There you go.
We got big smiles
Bro, it's an absolute blessing.
for what is no doubt a spooktacular Halloween party.
And it don't get no better than the kids here, man. Like, it's a very humbling experience, but very like joyful on the inside. Let me see how gritty.
And come on, the outside too.
Yo, stop playing.
Yeah, a little dance off, video game action, and we cannot forget some elite level coloring with Scotty Miller.
Huge SpongeBob guy, still am, so you know, I seen this and got the football going, so that's what it is.
A day like today.
It gives the kids the chance to interact with people they see on TV. They say, hey, I saw him at a game, and now it shows that the community really loves them.
Certainly feels like the biggest win of the season.
The way that they can just, show love and just continue to smile through all the adversity that they're going through, it can, translate into your own life.
Time and effort, anybody can do that, you know what I mean? So a day like today, don't take it for granted, love it.
In Atlanta, Luke Hetrick, Rise Up Tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, something we haven't really talked about coming off the win on Sunday, but I think is worth mentioning is the return of the ground game.
Yes.
Tyler Algier, Cordell Patterson, we know and love them, and 156 yards is the 2nd highest rushing total this season for the Falcons. And this was out and without under the weather Bijan Robinson. Yeah. And by the way, Tampa, number 4 rush defense coming into the game. And Tori, as you wrote in your notebook on AtlantaFalcons.com, this offense feels closer and closer to that explosive, fun offense we were really promised during training camp. And you pointed out, this is wild to me, that in the last 3 games, this offense is amassing more yards than those high-powered Miami Dolphins. But the difference is points scored and obviously coming down to those critical turnovers.
Yes, exactly. This is a team that really, if you change one singular statistical category, it completely changes how you feel about this unit and its production. If they don't have those turnovers last week, it's not hard to imagine that they leave Tampa with a decisive win with closer to 30 points on the board than 16. The difference for this team right now are those turnovers. It's the difference between the Dolphins putting up 90 points in their last 3 games and the Falcons barely breaking 50. Heck, we've been talking about turnovers for this entire show. It's the turnovers. If the Falcons fix this turnover problem, they're cooking.
Let them cook. All right, that is a solid take. Let us cook as well. Our loyal viewers know at this point we've been pretty solid in our takes this season. We've got plenty more where that comes from. Our Week 8 hot takes still to come.
And coming up next, rapper and songwriter Caleb Colossus joins Kelly and I in the nest. Don't miss that after the break.
It's almost game time, Falcons fans. When the Falcons sack the opposing QB at home, you'll score a BOGO free Big Zack snack meal the day after the game. Valid online only at Atlanta area stores. Welcome back to Rise Up Tonight. Let's head in the nest with Kelly, Tori, and this week's special guest, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz.
Really excited about this In the Nest guest, Caleb Colossus, with us. You're a rapper, songwriter from Stone Mountain. First, gotta ask, how'd you come up with the name Caleb Colossus?
So I had a history class in high school, and we were studying like Greek mythology, and they had like this, I guess, Colossus of Rhodes sign, and I was like, that was cool. That's the gist. It's not any cooler than that.
Hey, it sounds great.
I know, I love that.
Well, so you made it to the semifinals of season 1 of Rhythm and Flow, Netflix's hip-hop music competition series. You were in front of, Cardi B, T.I., all these big names. They're judging you. What was that like, that experience?
Definitely really cool, eye-opening. I was like post-college, so it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. Looking back on it, felt kind of dreamy. It was just so long ago, but it was still like, everything was happening so fast, I didn't really get time to process until weeks after. I was like, whoa, did that really happen? But it was a crazy experience for sure.
As you look back on that time, even now, what did kind of being on the show do for your career and kind of even where you are now?
I think it definitely confirmed some stuff for me. I think it was like I said, confirmation of like I belong. I should be doing that as a, it's not just a passion. I should go full force into that as like a career. When you get like the stamp of approval from Grammy award-winning artists, like it's not really anybody else that could kind of deter that. So that was really cool for me, and I feel like it's definitely allowed me to just kind of, really believe in what I'm doing, really go after it, and I don't think the light's too bright anymore, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
That's a good point. I like that. And, in keeping up with kind of Atlanta Falcons and some of the guys in the locker room, Bud Dupree is somebody who's really into the music scene, and he has his own record label and everything like that. And he was talking about being a kid from Macon, Georgia, and being so close to Atlanta there was something about the Atlanta music scene that really like touched him. For you specifically, how has being in Atlanta shaped your music career and kind of what you do?
I feel like Atlanta's like, it definitely like runs through my veins. The first people I really got into when I was younger was Outkast.
Yes.
I had a burnt disc of Speaker Box and The Love Below that I used to steal from my brother. But that really got me into music. I feel like Atlanta is just so entrenched with like music culture that I feel like I've just grown and embodied it, my whole life. It just feels like a part of me. So yeah, and Atlanta's definitely the biggest right now in hip hop and the scene and really just culture.
Well, and speaking of Atlanta, ATL is one of your songs. That's how I first listened to your music. It came up actually on my husband's Spotify like Discover page. It was like, you have to listen to the song. It's awesome. It has like every Atlanta reference you can ever think of. It's such a well-written song. What's kind of your songwriting process? Because that one specifically, I just love that one.
It's kind of weird. I'm just like I'll like sift through beats. People send me beats, and I'll really just listen and see if, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but I usually kind of know pretty instant. It might even take like 20 seconds and I'm like, oh, that's not it, or it is. And then I just will, listen and repeat and then just kind of start writing and just vibing and seeing what I can do with it. Then I'll go record it. I think I'm different from a lot of artists because some artists will go to like the studio and kind of want to vibe out, and I'm like so particular with my time. I want to like write before and like make sure I know to a T like what I want to do with it, so I'm not like wasting time and money.
Good point.
So
Yep.
That's definitely my process. Is like I want to have at least a good idea before and be confident into it, and then go in and record and make some magic for sure.
So your debut EP's theme was kind of like Renaissance theme. Michelangelo is the song probably a lot of people have heard. You love to draw and paint. I was reading in your 2022 album filled with kind of film oriented, like every song's named after a film that you love. What is your process when you're kind of like blending these art forms and trying to find that inspiration?
I really feel like it's like just daily life. In college, I just became like a really big film buff just from not having anything to do. And you know, after finishing classes, I would just try to like watch a movie, and it really became a passion to the point where I would get into directors and actors, and it just became a love of mine. So I was like, I want to find a way to, you know, incorporate it in the, you know, in the music the best way possible. I feel like that's definitely a lost art nowadays, where like people making albums is not as thematic in a way.
Right.
And I definitely wanted to, you know, going into it, I kind of want to have an idea, some level of inspiration I could pull from, because then it makes it easier to kind of center the focus.
Now, we have to talk about the Falcons. This is a Falcons show. For you, what kind of, when you were going into the 2023 season, what excited you about what the Falcons were doing and building in Atlanta?
When I played football in college, like, I'm big defense, and I feel like in years past has definitely been a weaker point for us as a team. So when we went and, you know, when we signed Jesse Bates and we went and got Onyemata and Bud Dupree, you know, I was just, you know, really excited, especially DBs. We got, you know, like I said, Jesse Bates, Okuda, definitely got me ramped up, because I know defense definitely wins championships, and I feel like we completely reshifted and, you know, added players, so the defense looks completely different than it did in 2022. So
100%.
That was definitely that, and I feel like Bijan was like the icing on the cake.
He really is. I'm glad also that you brought up your playing career, because you played in college, correct?
Yes.
Yes. For you, what type of player were you like? What position did you play?
Okay. I played cornerback. Don't go look up my stats. You're not gonna find much. That's why I made the transition at the right time. But yeah, that's it.
You know, I think honestly, the whole idea of a corner now transitioning to rap in the hip hop scene kind of makes sense, because corners are usually, you know, out on an island. You have to have a different type of mentality.
Gotta have that swag.
Yeah, in order to play corner, like, that's important. So I feel like that makes sense. Yeah.
What do you have coming up next? What's your next project?
I had my song "The Revenant" drop. If you haven't heard it, go run it up. I think it's going to be really big. It's doing well, so I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, for making time for us. Obviously, huge Atlanta sports fan. Everyone go check him out. Caleb Colossus. I'm sure you can find him anywhere you listen to music. And we'll be right back on Rise Up Tonight.
Hey Atlanta, this is Head Crack talking, and you watching Rise Up Tonight, presented by AT&T.
It's like I don't get caught up in whatever narrative is after 4 weeks of the daily narratives. You can almost write some of these narratives and live and die every week by the narratives. I don't use that lingo. That's the sensational line. It's like the scene with the dudes chasing the guy down from Happy Gilmore run to give away our scheme. What the hell is going on? Now you're really trying to put me on the hot seat here. Some narratives.
All right, we're at 500 this week, Tori. Happy to see the Falcons defense generate some turnovers, as I predicted, but not happy to not see Grady Jarrett get revenge.
Y'all should have seen, Kelly and I, the excitement that we had when Grady Jarrett, like, demolished that guy on that one tackle that we saw in, what, like the second quarter? Didn't get the sack, but I'll take 101 from Calais Campbell versus Baker Mayfield. I'm okay with that.
I remember in that moment literally writing down Grady just straight up bullying people in my notebook. All right, well, Jarrett's revenge might not be happening in the Bay, but it does happen in Music City, and he and the rest of this defense are going to eat at the line of scrimmage against Tennessee. The Titans have given up 23 sacks this season, the fourth most in the NFL. Atlanta had a season-high 5 sacks against the Commanders 2 weeks ago, but my hot take is that they surpassed that on Sunday.
Oh, man, whoa, okay, that's spicy. And but you do got to remember, there is potentially going to be a rookie quarterback in the pocket in Tennessee this Sunday. So with that in mind, my hot take has to do with this defense too. I think not only are they going to notch a few sacks, but I think they're actually going to get their hands on the ball again too. Who knows which quarterback we'll see suit up in Tennessee? We don't know. But I don't think it'll matter. I think someone like A.J. Terrell is hungry. I think there were some plays in Tampa that he'd like to have back. So A.J. Terrell revenge game, I mean, I'm just going to keep dealing these things out until someone takes me up on it.
And the defense is honestly a surefire bet. You know, we've had pretty good takes around this defense. All right, like you said, we don't really know who's going to be the Titans quarterback. Arthur Smith obviously returning to Nissan Stadium after so many years in Tennessee. What did he say about this quarterback situation? Because as we know, it's kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah, so Arthur Smith was asked about it, of course. course. And he said, honestly, it doesn't matter who they throw out there. I know Mike Vrabel. I've been a friend of his for a long time. He's going to have whoever they throw out there ready to go and play, no matter who it is. And, you know, for Arthur Smith, this is a homecoming of sorts. He spent almost a decade working his way up through the Tennessee Titans organization. So him returning there, I think also it means a little something to him too.
Just means a little bit more. And I heard there was something about a vest swap. What was that about?
I don't know. He said ask Mike Vrabel about it. I'm unsure.
Instead of a jersey swap?
Yeah, a vest swap for the coaches, you know.
It's hilarious.
We'll see if that happens. I'd love for it to just happen. Arthur, make it happen.
All right, we'll see what happens with this game on Sunday. Obviously, the offense has a lot to prove as well, and Arthur Smith will like to see that at his homecoming at Nissan Stadium. We'll wrap it up for you next week.